Hafade Guam, and welcome back to Fiesta Friday. Happy New Year once again to you and yours. All right, we are going to jump right into our interview right now. The siren of Guam history, if I may, Arlene.
Siren, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm back in probation days.
Okay, well, it's a new year. You can have a new title and everything like that.
Title.
But notwithstanding,
I appreciate the analogy though.
Well, very well deserved, because your efforts into researching what we are coming to know as the true essence of Chamorro history, and to some degree turning it
on its
upside on its head, but for positive reasons, as a means of understanding who we are and where we came from.
Absolutely.
Has been your mission and everything like that. Fascinating work, and you have something again this month, which is a bombshell, I would say.
This is very much a bombshell. It's about Hurau's speech. At the very most, it is an urban legend. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I say that with
now qualify that statement.
Every confidence. Well, an urban legend is something that has become popularized based on what we appear to or accept as fact by someone we may or may know indirectly or personally. And so Hurau is a very intimate individual to us because we know that he was a Chamorro chief. Mm-hmm. However, his speech was never written by Hurau, and it was credited to Hurau by Le Gobien, who was a French Jesuit writer, but it wasn't even Hurau that it was written for. Another Jesuit priest, Garcia, wrote it and put it in the mouth of Aguilin. So you have a totally confusing situation here, and for most people, they have accepted the Hurau speech as something written by an indigenous person. Why and how did that happen? It's very simple. Dr. Robert Underwood tells me that he had a friend, Donna Villagomez, who happened to be my aunt in the Philippines, in Saipan, married to Judge Villagomez, who's now deceased. And she translated it from from Spanish to English and gave it to Dr. Underwood. And Dr. Underwood introduced it into the bilingual program on Guam with a footnote that this was translated by, Villagomez. Mm-hmm. However, over time, we do not credit and really look at these footnotes, and they're very, very important because this book that I brought to show you, History of Micronesia, a collection of source documents, is written by Rodrigue Levesque, a very prolific
I was going to say, it's a very hefty volume.
But look at the volume. What volume is that, Jason?
6.
And there's 20. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, any researcher worth his salt is going to be looking at this man. Mm-hmm. And every researcher that I have on my show has looked at this man. What curiously gets me is how did everyone forget or miss those footnotes? Well, I look back and I thought, okay, I'm going to see Jason, so I got to be prepared for this.
And we talked about this last time.
We talked about it last time, but even last time, there were things that are continuing to come about. And we have Omairo Bruno Perry, who forewarns everyone in episode 9, be careful, don't take Le Gobien's writing as true fact. He's a Frenchman, and it was during the time and a period in that history where these kind of nationalistic writings would come up. Well, he misquotes Garcia, and there's multiple misquotes.
Now there is the perfect word right there, because we're both journalists, and you've certainly been in this business way longer than I have.
36 years.
Yeah, so I defer to your expertise, but we can both agree that part of a major tenet of our industry is having proper citation to the proper source.
Seek the truth and report it.
Right. Now this was a long time ago, and these weren't
1700s.
Yeah. So obviously, like formal ethics in journalism didn't exist in that form.
But in research, it always has.
Yeah. But
it's just easy. I mean, researchers, journalists, we're all people, right?
Now, why do they do that? Is it the cool factor to say, like, or let me fabricate some story and pass it off to somebody else because it makes for better legends?
No, I think it was very sincere. The whole framework of our history, Jason, has been one point of view, and that's the Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. And in that framework, their whole focus has been the canonization of San Vittoris. Period. End paragraph. Mm-hmm. So everything is embodied in that. Everything that we know about us is embodied in that whole
the center point around which Guam history revolves.
And now we have to turn that on its head, because as Dr. Atienza, David Atienza, and Fran Hizo, Jesuit, Bernadita Dunca, Rosa Palomo, Laura Sauter, all these names that we know as concrete, solid researchers, Michael Bavacqua, a professor, but also an activist, even he has challenged some of these things. But sometimes we get deaf and dumb and blind to who we see all the time because we're hearing the same rhetoric from them. Well, when KUAM asked me to do this show, I thought, wow, I'm going to be talking about history to people who already know it. Well, we know it only because certain things have been repeated over time. But now as we go into this thing and we analyze, we invite them to interview, we listen to their interviews, we talk about all these different resources, it's not in prime.
Okay, well, we got to go to commercial, but you have 10 seconds. Tell me, all those people you cited, masters of history, you know, learned academics, how are they receiving your research?
They love it. They're grateful. They are just like, they're going, well, how did that happen? They're blaming how did the historians miss that? How did the writers, and a lot of it's because we have a certain, if Jason Sala says it, if Rlene Steffy says it, it's fact. Well, it's not. We got to check everybody.
Exactly.
And that's what we're doing.
You are serving as a beautiful point person for this
I'm grateful for the privilege.
All right, everybody, that's coming up on Sunday. Make sure to tune in. Rlene doing absolutely fantastic work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're back after this.